Time for a Dungeon Master Guide update. Haven't done one of these things in a long time because I've been working on the info dump stuff and that's proven far more difficult than you would expect. Simply put, I'm coming up with 272 adventure hooks for all the nations, plus 112 points of conflicts, divided between the 16 countries. It gets a bit headache-inducing to write all that, but it's got to be done. But the book is nearing 160 pages complete, and I've been getting new art to fill out the pages. I was pushing for 320 pages, but the domain system is nearing completion, and that's taken up far more space than I intended. So either I have to expand the book, or I have to cut somewhere else in it. But the reason why I'm doing this series of videos is the art. I've got a new artist to help me with the project. By help, I mean he gives me a discount for the art so I can afford it. Brian Syme has done work for Kobold Press and White Wolf, to name a few, and he is now contributing to the Mystara DMG. He's working on the 20 factions, and so far he's knocked it out of the park. The first piece of art he did was the Carnifex, the big bads with no art at all from the module Twilight Calling. I hired him to give me a concept piece, and now I'm saving up my pennies and dimes to pay off the rest of the art. While D&D has decided to make itself into a franchise, they still aren't touching Mystara, so we have it all to ourselves. We are free to keep the game going strong without committee design changes to make it more palatable to a bunch of professional complainers that wouldn't play Mystara anyways. I'm relying on my awesomeness editors instead, giving us new material that adds to the game rather than strips away what makes it special. Also using normal editors, but I've got to get the book finished for that step. Domain system will be up for playtest hopefully next week. It's a comprehensive rule set for ruling over a domain, either like in the companion set, or by protecting a specific region like any number of other adventures and legends. Do you want to build your stronghold from nothing, expanding as you go, or do you prefer to support your local domain, helping it expand but not having to worry about the fine details, like paperwork? When I get that section finished, it's going to go up for download on freemystara.com, and we can hammer out the playtest there. If you want to help with the art, head over to the website, and there's a donation button. Just mention you're helping with the art, and your name is going to go into the book as a thank you. I'm looking at other ways to generate money so I can pay for art. I've been paying for it out of pocket, but it's a lot of art. And you can see the quality of Brian's work. He's doing a minimum of 20 of these. I've paid for some out of pocket, but the faster the art is done, the faster the book is finished. Player's Handbook took 5 years, and Dungeon Master's Guide is on year 3. I'm trying to do it a bit quicker. I've upgraded my software, I've hired professional artists, and I've learned from my past mistakes. I will be updating the book as each section gets done. And you guys really like the additions that have been made, like the Knights of Ebony and the Dragon Knights. But there's 18 more factions in the book. And to show you how awesome they are, here's a sneak peek at another one. The first one that Brian made the art for, the Seekers of the First. The purpose of the Seekers of the First are the return of the Carnifex to the known world. Their organization is a religious cult. They have an established membership of approximately 1,000. They have a functional range all across Mystara in varying numbers. Their current status is secret and illegal. In the distant past of Mystara, thousands of years before the fall of Thonia and the rise of Blackmoor, lived an ancient and evil race of reptilian creatures called the Carnifex. Resembling a nightmare mix of dragon and dinosaur, they were the dominant life form for centuries before their hubris seemingly destroyed them. While attempting a spell of immeasurable power meant to destroy the lands of their hated foe, the Kopru, the Carnifex instead exiled themselves in a pocket plane called the Pits of Banishment. Here they've been trapped for centuries, plotting and planning how to return to the prime material plane and restore their dominance over the lesser races once more. The Carnifex languished in the pits, trapped on floating islands created from their former empire's remnants. They attempted every possible method to escape their banishment, but to no avail. Whatever had trapped them in the pocket domain was deliberately thwarting their attempts at leaving. This enraged the creatures, but there was little they can do. The gates that led to the Pits of Banishment could not be opened from the inside. This changes 2 decades later when a traveler from another plane somehow breaches the gate and manages to enter the Pits of Banishment. The outside portal stayed open only for a few minutes, but it was long enough for a handful of Carnifex to escape. The traveler was quickly captured and interrogated, telling of a city in the center of the multiverse where he discovered access to the pits. The traveler didn't survive the interrogation, but the Carnifex had their answer. The pits had to be opened from the outside. The Carnifex that escaped numbered less than 10. They emerged into the known world to free their kin and to retake the world that was rightfully theirs. Spreading out over the map, they appeared to various outcast groups posing as extraplanar messengers, promising power and wealth to those that freed their race. They stole artifacts of great power that allowed them to contact their trapped kin with difficulty. The Carnifex's plans were threatened when the Knights of Ebony detected the escaped creatures, the religious order that works in tandem with the Immortals' Council of Intrusion. The Knights were able to track down and slay all of the escaped Carnifex in a matter of years, but weren't able to determine how far the Carnifex cult had spread. The Seekers of the First are cultists that have sworn to return the Carnifex to Mystara and restore them to their rightful place as rulers of the world. The cultists are scattered across the globe in small groups, looking for the solution that will open the gates to the Pits of Banishment. The Seekers of the First are split into numerous small cults found across the Known World, Savage Coast, Serpent Peninsula, and even in the Hollow World. Most of the factions aren't aware of each other's existence. If two groups meet, they must reveal their mutual goal without openly admitting it. Because of their small numbers and the fact that they are spread across the map, actual meetings between two cults are quite rare. The Seekers' enemies are numerous, but the ones that know about their true nature are small. Their biggest enemies are the Knights of Ebony, who know about the cultists and are just one of the organizations who understand the Carnifex even exist. The Seekers' most significant threat is usually just local authorities, who don't know the Seekers' actual goals, only that they frequently engage in murder and theft. The cultists operate with great secrecy. The only outsiders they employ in their mission are typically shapeshifters like doppelgangers or Baldendar to help them obtain relics and tomes of lore, or to eliminate someone suspicious of them. Even then, the relationship is strictly business. The shapeshifters don't know the truth behind their employers. Organization. The Seekers have little formal organization. The escaped Carnifex split up and wandered the globe, converting creatures to further their mission. Cultists can be of any race and range from primitive lizardmen in Malfegi Swamp, desperate beggars on the streets of Thyatis, to wealthy nobles in the halls of Glantry City. Most cultists have a specific calling and role. The lizardmen scour the swamp for lost artifacts, while a noble researches spells that could assist in their goal. New cultists joining the Seekers is rare. Contacting them is difficult, and convincing them of your sincerity and their cause is nearly impossible. Because of this, cultists tend to only admit new members that they have approached, specifically only when they need to replenish their numbers. Searching for the freedom of the Carnifex is dangerous. Relics are locked away in lost temples. The spells that contact the Carnifex tend to draw immortal attention, leading to visits from the Knights of Ebony. Even knowing about visiting lost demi-planes is jealously guarded by powerful wizards, who will not give up the information easily. Cultists gather where they can do so in safety and anonymity. For cultists like beggars, this is much easier than cultists of higher social status. They meet only after accomplishing a goal left behind by one of the escaped, or when a new opportunity has revealed itself. The meetings tend to be quick, information is passed on, and instructions are handed out. If a cultist has made a relevant discovery, they're allowed to speak. Otherwise, the head cultist is the only one to address the gathered sect. Leadership in the Seekers is surprisingly democratic. The original leaders of each cult were handpicked by the escaped Carnifex, who charged the leaders with the initial task of freeing their masters. If a leader dies, then the cult selects a replacement from their ranks. The ideal replacement is the most fervent or auspicious of the cultists. The position requires great faith, as the Carnifex have no real power in the prime material plane, no spells are granted, and the only material support is what the cult steals. The cultists aren't entirely cut off from the Carnifex. 3 different cells, located in Glantry, Alphatia, and Hool, have gained artifacts that allow them once a year to make contact with the leaders of the Carnifex for a few minutes. These are used on the first day of contact with the escaped Carnifex. These are considered holy days by the cultists. The cultists provide their masters with progress reports and are given new instructions on how to proceed next. If a distant group has made progress in their task, the Carnifex will know and instruct followers on how to contact that group. The trapped Carnifex can detect when gates that keep them trapped are weakening or strengthened because of their powerful magics. The creatures can determine what part of the world the disruption occurred with their divinations. This gives the creatures some ability to track their progress. The Carnifex will monitor every single cult they have and will reward the one that frees them by killing them last. Adventure hooks. The trail starts. The characters witness a break-in at a library or a mage's guild. When the party investigates, they're attacked by a cult of seekers who attempt to hold the party back while they escape with a particularly rare tome. When the party emerges victorious, they discover the tome discusses the Carnifex and their possible return in detail. The cultists who fled during the fight will still want that tome and have marked the party for death. Cavaliers in Black. The characters are hired by a well-to-do Galantrian noble to provide security against a group of mercenaries who repeatedly tried to kill the wizard. The party doesn't know that the wizard is a seeker of the first, and his enemies are the Knights of Ebony, sent by their immortals to kill him and recover any information on the Carnifex. The Knights are single-minded in their assault, but they avoid killing the characters or killing innocents. The party has to discover the motivation behind the Knights' attacks and their benefactor's true nature. Wrong number. The Seekers have contacted who they believe is a powerful outer planar creature capable of releasing the Carnifex on the world. The creature gives the cultists an extensive list of highly unusual demands involving petty vandalism or harmless pranks against influential individuals. The cult begins to attempt all the requirements, leading the party to be hired to cover the cause of the annoying mischief. The party tracks the cultists back to their lair, just in time to find the cultists unleashing their patron. To the cultists' horror, their would-be patron is the Archfey Robin Goodfellow, who has played them the entire time. He unleashes a swarm of pixies and sprites on the cultists as a reward. The party has to negotiate with the Archfey to return to the Good Kingdom before the Fey does any actual harm. A taste of things to come. Something has been kidnapping people from the streets of Darrican, both pauper and elite alike. The players have to discover who is behind this rash of disappearances and bring them to justice. The kidnapped individuals have vanished with no hint of magic or violence and don't seem to have any relationship. The party discovers the missing people are cultists who are gathering for a ritual to release the Carnifex. The ritual goes wrong, unleashing a single Carnifex soldier who is incensed at their failure and proceeds to tear through Darrican City until slain, showcasing just how much of a threat a regular Carnifex warrior is. There and back again. The party is attempting to stop the Seekers from opening another portal to the Pits of Banishment when the spell goes awry. Both the party and the cultists are sent to the pits. The artifact that transported them is also teleported and provides the party with a means of getting home. The party sees firsthand that the Carnifex number in the thousands just in this location, and each one is incredibly dangerous by themselves. They discover the sheer scope and threat of the Carnifex and realize the danger they possess. Now they have to avoid the thousands of Carnifex, unaware of their presence, steal back the artifact, and get back to Mystara to warn others of what they've seen. That is the Seekers of the First. It's another faction for Mystara, and one of the many factions in this book. I'm going to be putting these out as I get the art. If you want to help speed things up with the art, head over to freemystara.com. I am working on the book as fast as I can, but this is a solo project, and I will keep you updated on the progress as we go. So I will see you when I am next up talking about the Ainswick Mercantile Company.